The Grain of Rice Fable. How the grain of rice fable can teach you about the power of compound interest. Imagine I offered you a job for 1 month and gave you the choice of payment. If I said, you can have $1 million up front, or I will simply give you 1 penny on the first day and 2 pennies on the second day and double it every day for 30 days, which would you choose? This ancient fable about a single grain of rice illustrates the story. In ancient India, there lived a Raja who believed he was wise and fair, as a Raja should be. The people in his province were rice farmers. The Raja decreed that everyone had to give nearly all of their rice to him. "I will store the rice safely," the Raja promised the people, "so that in a time of famine, everyone will have rice to eat, and no one will go hungry." Every year, the Raja's rice collectors gathered nearly all of the people's rice and carried it away to the royal storehouses. For many years, rice grew in abundance. The people shared nearly all of their rice with the Raja, and the storehouses were always stocked. People had just enough rice to survive on, until one year the rice grew poorly, leaving everyone starving. The people had no rice to give to the Raja, and they had no rice to eat. The Raja's ministers urged him, "Your Highness, let us open the royal storehouses and give the rice to the people, as you promised." "No!" cried the Raja. "How will I know how long the famine will last? I must ration the rice to last as long as possible. Promises or no promises, a Raja must not go hungry." As time continued on, people became more and more hungry. The Raja, however, would not distribute the rice. Once, the Raja of Ramgarh decided he would hold a grand feast for himself and his court. After all, it is the way a Raja should do from time to time, even when there is famine. A servant led an elephant from the royal storehouse to the palace, carrying 2 full baskets of rice. That day, a little girl named Rani saw a trickle of rice falling from one of the baskets carried by the giant elephant. In a split second, she ran beside the animal, catching the grains of rice in her dress. The girl was clever, and so she started formulating a plan. It happened at the palace that the guard cried, "Halt, thief! Where are you taking that rice?" "I'm not a thief," Rani responded. "The rice I'm holding right now fell from one of the bags, and I'm taking it back to the Raja now." When the Raja heard about the good deed done by the girl, he ordered his ministers to take her before him. "I'm giving you a reward for returning what belongs to me," the Raja said to Rani. "Name any request, and you'll get it." "My prince," said Rani, "I deserve no reward at all. But if you wish, you may reward me with 1 grain of rice." "Only 1 grain of rice?" said the Raja. "Of course I shall compensate you more fully, because it is appropriate that a prince should." "If that's what your highness prefers," replied Rani, "you may reward me by fulfilling this one request. Today, give me a single grain of rice. Every day for the next 30 days, you will double the number of grains of rice you give me. This means that you will give me 2 grains of rice tomorrow, 4 grains of rice the next day, and so on." "This appears to be a modest reward," said the Raja. "But I shall reward you nonetheless." That day Rani was presented with 1 grain of rice. The next day, Rani was offered 2 grains of rice. The following day, Rani was presented with 4 rice grains. On the 9th day, Rani was presented with 256 grains of rice, 511 in total. There was not enough rice for Rani to be satisfied with only a handful. "This girl may be sincere, but she is not very bright," the Raja thought. She would have acquired more rice by collecting the grains that fell in her skirt. On the 12th day, Rani received 2,048 grains of rice, about 4 handfuls. After 13 days, she had received 4,096 grains of rice, which could fill a bowl. On the 16th day, Rani was presented with a bag containing the requisite number of grains of rice. From that point, she had 2 bags. "There will be twice as much rice than I expected," thought the Raja. "But I doubt she'll need much more than that for her prize." On the 21st day, she received 1,048,576 grains of rice, enough to fill a basket. On the 24th day, the servant Rani was presented with enough rice to fill 8 baskets carried by 8 royal deer. On the 27th day, it took 32 Brahma bulls to deliver 64 baskets of rice. The Raja was disturbed, as the task was about completed. 1 grain of rice has grown very great indeed, he thought. But I shall fulfill the reward to the end, as a Raja should. On the 29th day, Rani was granted the 2 storehouses of the royal treasures. On the 31st day, 256 elephants passed through the province carrying with them all the contents of the last 4 royal storehouses, 536,870,912 grains of rice. The Raja's offer of rice had all been met. Rani had received more than 1 billion grains of rice. "And what will you do with this rice now that I have none?" said the Raja with a sigh. "I will feed it to all the hungry people," said Rani, "and I will leave a basket of rice for you as well, so that you may always remember to only take as much rice as you need." "I promise," said the Raja. And for the rest of his days, the Raja was truly wise and fair, as a Raja should be. Compound interest, its power. After reading the fable, it is pretty clear what the choice is. It is better to have a penny that doubles every day for a month than to have $1 million up front. Compound interest accounts for this. Imagine doubling a penny every day for 31 days, and by the end of the month, you'd have $10,737,418.24. It's important to note that it's all about the power of doubling. If you asked the same question, but chose a doubling time of just 27 days, you'd have $671,088.64. Key takeaway for millennials. Be smart about your investing strategies. The best time to start investing is never too early, and the earlier you start, the more you'll earn in later life. If you invest $50 a month while earning an average return of 6%, that could grow into over $5 million by age 65. But in 30 years? Earning a 6% return throughout your life, you'll soon start seeing huge returns as you approach retirement. Keep in mind that investing is a long-term investment. Your goal shouldn't be to double your money in 3 to 5 years. Look at the rule of 72 to find out how long it will take you to double.